I had to wait 17 years before I could get behind the wheel of a car. Had I been born a decade later and in France, I could have driven this, the Citroën Ami, at the pimply age of 14. And that's because the Ami is a quadricycle, and quadricycles can be driven by people as young as 16 across Europe. But in France, you can be 14 years old and head out onto the street in one of these cars. Now, unfortunately, the Ami is only going to be sold in mainland Europe for the time being, but Citroën has kindly let us have a play with it in a not-so-Parisian car park somewhere in Coventry. And there's so much more to the Ami than just its quirky looks. But before I get into the review, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for plenty more awesome car reviews just like this one. There's nothing even remotely conventional about the Ami's design. And while it mainly focuses on cutting costs, whether that's production or repairs, it's all done in an endearing way. The bodywork, for instance, is all plastic and it covers a metal frame that's tucked underneath it. And then there's the front bumper, which is exactly the same as the rear bumper. So if you get into a fender bender in the middle of Paris, it's cheaper and easier to repair. The Ami is all about customization. So while we've got a pretty standard one here, if you pay Citroën a bit more money, you can get new hubcaps. You could also get roof rails on the top. And we've even been told that you can put a spoiler on the back. But the weirdest of all is the sticker set. So if you want a nice big sticker down the side of the car, Citroën will do that for you, no problem. But this one right here, and a few other little ones, you get in your own sticker set that you apply yourself. The Ami is so basic that the back end is essentially hollow. It'd be like looking through one ear and seeing out the other side. Then there are the doors. On the passenger side, it opens up like a conventional car. Of course, you've got to press a button to get in. But on the driver's side, to keep costs down, the doors are identical, which means they're hinged in the same places. So to get in, you've actually got a suicide door, which is actually much easier when getting into the car. And then there are the windows, which are split into two different sections and are manually operated, just like the old 2CV. What really stands out of the interior of the Ami is just how bright and airy it is. I mean, look just how much glass there is. You even have a panoramic roof as standard. Also, the windscreen is really far away, so you feel like you're in something much more substantial than you actually are. Although there's a lot of plastic in here, it's all highlighted by bright colours, and that really brings out the Ami's fun character. The plastics themselves aren't great. This is an extremely cheap car after all, but they're pretty decent, and the steering wheel actually feels really nice. It's really ergonomic, and I think it feels nicer than some proper cars that I've driven. The seats are pretty funny as well because there's no adjustment to them whatsoever. I mean, you can move them backwards and forwards, but that's about it. You can't recline any further back, and there's no armrest. You also have a manual handbrake. Interior tech really depends on how good your smartphone is because there's no touchscreen infotainment system. You literally just have to use your smartphone. And so there's a handy little grip on the dashboard that you just clip on like that and then press against the dash. Of course, it doesn't help if you've got a big phone like me, so you have to put it further down. Sat-nav at the ready, all we need to do is charge it up. And you've got a USB port just there, so I can get the cable, plug it in, and you can pop it in from underneath the dash. I should have plugged this in before I put the phone in there. The Ami is completely electric, but you don't charge it up like a conventional electric car, because all you do is open the passenger door and then you've got this little cord that comes out and you can just plug it into the mains. How nifty is that? And you never have to worry about leaving your charging cable at home. There is a little bit of technology in the AMI. You see, you've got this tiny little digital display just in front of you that tells you how fast you're going and how much battery you've got left. And according to this, you've got 73 kilometers in the tank. Let's take this out for a spin. Better safe than sorry. Now this is the only AMI in the UK, and because of that, Citroën won't allow me to leave their corporate car park. But it doesn't matter, because the AMI is like a little electric go-kart and we can have quite a lot of fun with it, even in the confines of a car park. So, as I mentioned, the AMI is 100% electric. It's powered by a single electric motor producing 8 brake horsepower. Not 80, not 18, but 8. And it's connected up to a 5.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. And that's good for a WLTP rated range of 43 miles. Now, because it's a quadricycle, it's got a limited top speed, and the top speed is also limited to conserve battery life. So the maximum you can go in an AMI is 28 miles per hour. So I'm a little glad we didn't go out on the public road today, because taking this thing on a motorway would be probably a little bit scary. But in a car park, it feels seriously nippy. It feels very, very go-karty. And you can build up speed quite quickly. Because it's electric, the torque is near instant. So as soon as I put my foot down on the accelerator, it's not like an old 2CV that it's inspired by. It just feels like a modern electric car. Because it's a quadricycle, it's not built like a conventional car. So the chassis is actually exposed in the cabin, and it's a little bit noisy. Even though it's an electric car, you're getting quite a lot of noise from the road, and there's also a little bit of a whine when you put your foot down. But I just think it adds to the character. I've only been driving the AMI for maybe 10-15 minutes and I'm already in love with it. It's just so much fun to drive. Here's another advantage of the AMI. It's a properly tiny car. Although it's very spacious inside, the actual proportions are pretty damn small. And that makes it really easy to park. Cars are so big now that even a 3 Series can be a challenge to park. But this thing, not only can it fit in a conventional space just fine, but you can actually park it perpendicular to the curb, a bit like you used to be able to in the original smart car. Comfort wise, it's a little bit bouncy and a little shaky in here, but when your top speed is 30, oh, came in a little bit too fast there. When your top speed is 30, you're not really going to be fast enough to break your back. It's not that jittery. So I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a French 14-year-old. Would I have an AMI? I think there would be one thing that would hold me back as a 14-year-old, and that would be, do I look cool enough in an AMI? But I want you to think about this. If you're a 14-year-old French person thinking about buying one of these, you would be the only kid in school with a car. And yes, while you can have a moped, it's not like you can really take your friends out in comfort in a moped. Whereas you could do that with an AMI. Yes, it's a 2-seater, but still, you could take a friend with you. But if you're 17 years old, you're learning to drive, and you're on your way to college and you're worried that you might look a bit silly in an AMI. Think of it like this. You'd rather be known as the kid with the fun, quirky electric car rather than the guy or girl with a Vauxhall Corsa fitted with a massive sports exhaust. Don't be that guy. Right, I'm going to do a hot lap of this car park. Get it in nice and early. Way. Kiss the apex. Counting the tarmac as the edge of the track. Nice apex there. Floor it. Here we go. Building up some real speed there. Last corner. Here we go. Nice. All for a lap of probably about 30 seconds. It's disappointing that this won't be available in the UK straight away, but Citroën is thinking about it. They say they're 75% sure that they'll be bringing it to the UK, and I think it would be great. I'm not sure whether 16-year-olds will be able to drive it like they can mopeds, but I think it's something to learn to drive in, or it's even just a little runabout to run back and forwards to the shop in. The AMI is brilliant. So let's sum it all up. What's the AMI like to drive? Well, obviously I don't really know what it's like on a proper road, but crucially, it's a hell of a lot of fun. It looks fun on the outside, it's fun on the inside. I really hope they bring this to the UK, because I think it will make a lot of people smile. It's really good fun. Another interesting thing about the AMI is its door handles, because they're made of material, just like you'd get in a racing car. And then there's going out and buying one. You can buy the AMI as a whole package for about £5,000, or if you're putting it over a monthly finance, you'd be looking at a deposit of just over £2,000, and then monthly instalments of £17 over a course of 48 months. You can also use this on a pay-as-you-go service. So if you go to one of the major cities in France, you can hire one of these out for just 22p per minute. It is such a cool, quirky, and most importantly, fun car to drive, and I sincerely hope Citroën brings this to the UK, because I think they would sell in droves. And I'm hoping one day that I'll end up to be this rich old man that lives on a farm that just uses his Citroën AMI to run backwards and forwards to the shops. We can all dream, eh? I think we leave it at that. I think we're good.